Every day of my life, I grew up with your lies. As a child, I would watch Africa on television.
He's been called a hero, a savior, even Africa's Saladin. But now, voices are rising with a new question. Is Ibrahim Traoré a legend or a liability? This is the untold story of a leader both praised and feared, a man who gave hope to millions and headaches to the powerful. But every story has two sides. Let's start with the myth. Traoré rose from the military ranks in a country forgotten by the world, Burkina Faso, ravaged by war, terror, poverty, and corruption. In 2022, he led a coup, not for power, but for change. He expelled the French military. He challenged foreign corporations stealing African resources. He turned soldiers into farmers, rebels into builders, and mosques into health clinics. He refused Western aid and built with his own people. To the poor, he became a symbol of African dignity. To the youth, he became a voice of truth in a world of lies. But to the global elite, he became a problem. Why? Because he didn't follow the script. He didn't bow to diplomats. He didn't beg for dollars. He didn't wear a mask. And so, the attacks began. Western media called him radical. Some African presidents called him naive. And now, even some within his own circle have started to ask, is he going too far? You see, Traoré's strength is also his danger. He speaks what others fear to say. He acts without waiting for permission. He moves without compromise. And in a world built on quiet obedience that makes him unpredictable, some call that courage. Others call it recklessness. So, which is it? Let's look at the facts. Under Traoré, food independence rose, foreign debt fell, terrorism declined in rural zones, youth migration dropped for the first time in decades. But at the same time, relations with Western powers collapsed. Aid programs were frozen. Sanctions were quietly introduced. Intelligence agencies began whisper campaigns. Traoré doesn't care. But the question is, can his nation survive the pressure? Can one man carry a revolution without being crushed by it? Or worse, hijacked by those who want to twist it? Because history has seen it before. Leaders who start with pure intentions, but end in isolation, paranoia, or silence. And that's what makes this story so fragile, so real. Traoré is not a god. He is not a saint. He is a man. And the more power he gains, the more traps are set. So the world now watches with one burning question. Will Ibrahim Traoré become a chapter in history, or just another warning? Legend or liability? Time will tell. But one thing is certain, he made the world listen. And sometimes, that's more dangerous than any weapon. As 2025 unfolds, the weight on Traoré's shoulders is growing heavier. Inside Burkina Faso, his popularity remains high, but the stakes have never been higher. Every decision he makes is now under a microscope. One wrong alliance, one failed project, one internal betrayal, and the same people who once praised him could turn. Because revolutions don't just change nations, they attract enemies in every direction. From within, whispers of discontent have started to surface. Some military generals are uneasy with his refusal to accept Western arms deals. Some business leaders complain that Traoré's nationalism is scaring away investors. And even a few religious voices now say, he speaks too much truth, too fast. But Traoré? He's not slowing down. In fact, he's speeding up. He's pushing land reforms. He's nationalizing key industries. He's demanding transparency in all government accounts. And that's exactly why some are now calling him a liability. Because a leader who can't be bought can't be controlled. And that terrifies those who've built their empires on manipulation. Think about it. Why does the world fear a man with no nuclear weapons, no global economy, no massive army?
I grew up with your lies.
Because he tells other nations, you don't need them either. He exposes the illusion. He breaks the myth. And that's dangerous in a world built on deception. But here's the harder truth. Legends don't survive on truth alone. They need strategy, they need patience, and they need protection from enemies and from themselves. Because history has seen it all before. Thomas Sankara, loved, then assassinated. Patrice Lumumba, admired, then eliminated. Gaddafi, praised, then punished. So now, the question isn't just, is Traoré right? It's, can he survive being right? Because legends become legends after they're gone. But if Traoré wants to stay a legend while still breathing, he must walk carefully. Because the fire he's lit is spreading fast, and if it burns too bright, the world will try to extinguish it, not with bullets, but with doubt. And that's exactly how the takedown begins. Not with assassins, but with narratives. In global media, subtle shifts start to appear. Article's headline: Is Traoré risking Burkina Faso's stability? Young dictator or misunderstood visionary? A leader in over his head? Documentaries are planned. Analysts are interviewed. And the image of Traoré, once heroic, is slowly repainted as dangerous. This is not new. It's the oldest trick in the book. First, they build you up, then they break you down. And while bombs may kill a man, words can kill a movement. Inside Burkina Faso, Traoré remains calm, but not blind. He knows what's coming. He's read the stories of leaders before him. He's seen the pattern. First, silence, then smears, then sanctions, then something worse. So he moves smart. He avoids unnecessary speeches. He focuses on real results, building roads, hospitals, schools. He meets with African allies, quietly building a defensive network that doesn't rely on the West. But even then, the threats grow, not from foreign armies, but from within. Because every system, no matter how patriotic, still has ambitious men who want power, jealous rivals waiting for a mistake, and old elites who lost their grip under his rule.
Camarade Président Vladimir Poutine, camarade Président chef d'État africain.
They know they can't beat Traoré in the streets, so they aim to isolate him in the palace, to tire him, to distract him, to make the people doubt him. Has he done enough? Why are prices still high? Why hasn't terrorism vanished completely? Little questions, whispers, wedges, and that's how revolutions collapse. Not through fire, but through fatigue. Traoré must now fight a harder battle, not just against enemies, but against time. Because change takes years, and critics strike in weeks. The world is watching. Some pray for his rise, others bet on his fall. But in the end, legend or liability, only one thing is clear. Ibrahim Traoré has already forced history to turn its head, and now we wait to see whether it nods in respect or turns away in regret. But Traoré knew. Legends don't wait for approval. They build, while others watch. So as the world debates, he digs deeper into the only truth he trusts: action. He launches what many are calling his boldest initiative yet, the Sovereignty Shield Plan. Its mission? Total food independence by 2028. A national digital currency not tied to the CFA franc. Complete removal of foreign military and intelligence presence, and most importantly, a civilian defense network trained to protect, not control, its own people. To the West, it looked like paranoia. To the people of Burkina Faso, it looked like survival. He wasn't preparing for a war. He was preparing for betrayal, because history had taught him, if you don't own your water, your food, your land, you don't own your future. And in every village, his message echoed, we're not fighting France. We're not fighting America. We're fighting dependency, wherever it hides. But while he built for the future, the attacks kept coming. A fake video surfaces, claiming he insulted Islam. A forged document spreads online, saying he's planning to dissolve the parliament. Western influencers with millions of followers suddenly discover Burkina Faso, and all have the same narrative. Be careful of Traoré. He's young, he's angry, he's dangerous. It's coordinated, it's funded, and it's expected. Because a man who wakes up the poor becomes a threat to those who feed off their sleep. But Traoré doesn't flinch. He releases no emotional speeches. He issues no desperate clarifications. He simply walks into a rural hospital, opens the doors, and says, "Show the world what we're building." And the world sees children being treated with local medicine, farmers using solar-powered irrigation, young women training as engineers and midwives, former rebels teaching peace in schools they once burned. Legend or liability? Maybe he's both, because real legends aren't perfect. They're provocative, they're complicated, they're dangerous to the system. And if Traoré survives, it won't be because the world allowed it. It'll be because his people protected it. Because when a nation decides that dignity matters more than dollars, that's when legends are born.
Some call him dangerous.
Others call him a savior. But one thing is clear: he made the world listen. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe. And for more fearless, untold truths, stay connected.